In case you don't know, South Dakota has recently won the most impressive accolade of being the happiest and healthiest state in the USA. And we're chatting to Katlyn Richter, who's with the Department of Tourism in South Dakota. Hi, Katlyn.
Great. Hello, how are you?
Very good, thanks. It's good to chat to you guys. How big of a deal is this for you?
Sure, yeah. So thanks for having us on. First of all, we're really excited to come out and talk with everyone. It's so good to come on and share South Dakota's story, and especially when there's good news, such as being one of the happiest and healthiest states in the U.S. Of course, it's a big deal for our department. Our department really prides ourselves on our goal, and our mission is to create and sustain a great tourism industry in our state. But along with that comes making people happy, enjoying their family vacations, and really coming out and just enjoying South Dakota's beauty and attractions, wildlife, and scenery. So all together, we're pretty proud and happy to have this going into our summer season.
I'm sure. And is it the first time you've won this title?
No, it's not. We've received similar accolades before of, one of the best places to live was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, being the healthiest or the happiest, or we've received similar things in the past. And it's really warms our hearts because we know that we love this place. And South Dakota is home to so many citizens here that call themselves South Dakotans. We really love it when visitors come and can feel at home in our state too. So we're proud, certainly proud of it, and love to be able to share this with our citizens and also our visitors when they come to our state as well.
Yeah, and the five main factors at the Gallup Share Care, which is the recent ranking, they looked at purpose and social, your relationships, financial, economic, and stress and financial security, and then community and physical, which is your health and getting things done, etc. So, what do you think it is about South Dakota, in particular, that makes it different, that it scores the highest in these areas?
Sure. I think there's a number of things, when you attribute all of those five factors, and just hearing them again reminds me that those are all values that I think most of us live and breathe every day. We're a state that is very hardworking. We have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the entire country. So most of our citizens are working, they're feeling productive, they're being able to come home and have food on their tables for the most part. Of course, it's not the entire population, but when you have a low unemployment rate, you know that people are feeling satisfied and feeling better about themselves. And when they're able to do that, they're wanting to go out and explore, spend time with their families and their communities, and really just kind of having that sense of value that associates with all of those things. And what I love about South Dakota is we have small cities all across our state, and we do have a couple of big cities too. Sioux Falls, South
Yeah.
Dakota, is on the eastern side of our state, and they do very well in the healthcare industry as well. Sanford Health is located there in Sioux Falls, started there. There's a great philanthropist, T. Denny Sanford, who has really contributed a lot to the healthcare community. And he's also been very giving to Crazy Horse Memorial, which is on the western half of our state, and really wanting to see that project dedicated to Native American history and culture finished. So it's
Yeah.
great to see this balance across the state. So I think there's a number of things that contribute to it, but also living in the Midwest, a large number of our state is taken up by agriculture. So there's hardworking farm families and people who are really out and active every day working on their farms. So I think there's a number of things that contribute to that. And of course, being in the Midwest, we pride ourselves on being Midwest nice. Minnesota takes that as well, being Minnesota nice, but we like to say we're South Dakota smiley too.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're describing, just the slight difference between what you've just described very well and your kind of destination sort of lifestyle type places that one hears about, where it's maybe just a bit more about, well, you can do radical mountain sports, or you're on the coast and you sort of surf every day, supposedly.
Sure.
It's similar, but it's a bit more subtle about these differences. And it's interesting that that's actually what's added up to actually being overall better at creating happiness with the population. You guys also have very low taxes as well. Does that play much of a factor?
We do. Yeah, I think it does. In South Dakota, there's no personal income tax. So there's a factor in that as well. And the business climate here in South Dakota is very successful. So being able to start a small business here is a lot easier than it is in other places. So being able to come and have that sense of entrepreneurship and really that sense of pride and being able to feel like you can accomplish something and not have to be taxed so heavily, certainly there's all of those things add up.
Yeah. And is there a lot of awareness with folks living there about this, this title?
We've been watching the different news articles come out, and there is sort of a pep in your step, and I think citizens of South Dakota see that and feel that. Of course, right now is a beautiful time to be in South Dakota. So we have that extra, sense of it's summertime, it's beautiful out. Tourists are here enjoying our state as well, encouraging people to go out and explore their own backyard. So there is a little bit of a pep in our step, I think. And it's been interesting to see the news outlets, local news outlets and broadcast stations picking that up and telling that story at the local level too. So there is a sense of excitement out there.
Yeah, it's certainly going to help for marketing and like tourism numbers. They keep growing year on year, I imagine.
Yeah, that's right. We've been very successful recently. We really attribute that to a lot of awareness and being able to see our marketing campaigns be successful. Previously, South Dakota's always been on people's radar, but even more so with great destinations like Badlands National Park. When we celebrated the National Park Service anniversary a few years ago, Badlands really rose to the top of level of interest that people had in that national park.
Badlands, yeah.
Mount Rushmore National Memorial had their 75th anniversary a couple years ago, and this year was the 70th anniversary of the start of carving of Crazy Horse Memorial. And then there's a couple other fun things too out there. We really do focus a lot on our Native American culture here in our state. And the Sisseton Wahpeton Owate powwow, which occurs around the 4th of July, has been going on for over 100 years.
Wow,
so
that's quite a tradition, yeah.
It is, yeah. And then this next year, in 2019, we'll celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Black Hills Roundup Rodeo. So, of course, rodeo culture and Western culture is prominent in our state, as that's, where our roots are tied.
Yeah.
So being able to really see things like the powwow and the rodeo, be able to succeed to help tell that story of the Native American culture and Western culture in our state, we're really proud of those businesses and events that have been able to withstand for that long.
Yeah, and I mean, this is your peak season now as well. It must be super busy. Don't you have Sturgis starting really soon or this weekend?
That's right. Yeah, you're right. We do. The official rally starts on Sunday, but of course, riders have been trickling in already, and there's several events going on. But Sturgis is quite an ordeal here in South Dakota. I'm sure many listeners are familiar with it, but we've been known to have crowds from 500,000 to 800,000 people coming to our state just for that one motorcycle rally. And it is. And when you think about South Dakota's population is under 900,000. So really our population about doubles for 1 week just around the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. So it's exciting. There's certainly a host of bikes across the state. They love touring our scenic drives in the Black Hills and riding across our prairies on the eastern side of the state. So it's a fun time. There's great music festivals that happen out at Sturgis. Of course, food trucks providing all sorts of interesting tastes and who knows what else. But it's a fun time for us right now.
And no doubt you guys do a lot of market research, like feedback from tourists. Is there something in particular that surprises you that they compliment South Dakota on a lot?
Sure. I would say that most often we really hear people will say, had we known, we would have stayed longer. There's this, initial kind of sentiment out there that maybe there's nothing out there in South Dakota if they haven't done a ton of research. And maybe oftentimes they're doing a loop from Mount Rushmore in the Badlands up to Devil's Tower and Yellowstone and Glacier National Park. And so they're doing this whole loop, which is great. All of those national parks in Montana and Wyoming are beautiful as well. But they really always come back saying, wow, we had no idea there was so much to see and do in your state. So we hear that quite a bit. And we also really have done a lot of market research about what people expect about South Dakota before they come. And so we kind of look at, they're thinking that they're going to see this much wildlife or this much family-friendly attractions.
Yeah.
And then we do poll them after they come. And we really exceed their expectations in almost all of those categories. So it's fun to know that there's a lot of work to be done for us out there marketing South Dakota as a destination, but it's also fun to surprise and delight people once they come here. It's fun to know that we have a few surprises up our sleeves and that they're coming away really pleased with their trip.
Yeah, and I mean, this kind of thing doesn't happen overnight, that, generating this sort of, all of these factors that go into this. And is it possible to sort of work out where the magic formula comes from? Is it various government departments, or is it the residents of your part of the country? I mean, it's an interesting thing, because I'm sure other states would want to copy it if they could.
I definitely agree with you, and I'm glad that you recognize that, of course. And I've been working at our department here for 10 years now, and I have seen a great shift in the 10 years that I've been here, and probably especially in the last 5 to 7 years. I've noticed that where South Dakota's at in the marketplace has really changed. And I think it's attributed to a number of things of how our tourism industry is building upon itself and providing things and doing research to know what do travelers want when they come here. It's our department doing a lot of marketing and figuring out, really pinpointing who are the people that are more susceptible to travel here and what do they want to see and do and how can we showcase that to them. But more so even overall, I think that there's this changing sentiment in the travel industry as a whole, and that people are really wanting to get back out on the open road again. And we are a road trip state. Most of our travelers come from our surrounding states and they're driving in by car. And people want to get out and explore. They want to touch and feel and see and do and really kind of explore their roots again, rather than always going off to the glam vacations on the coasts or, the big vacations. They're doing that. But I think that they're also looking at doing these, back to your roots and really getting out and exploring on a road trip more so than they had maybe even 5 or 7 years ago.
Yeah. And a few of the sort of favorite pastimes and similar kind of leisure traditions that you would, suggest or that you are famous for.
Sure. Well, there's one in particular that's coming up. So, there's all sorts of things to do in the peak season, but I don't want to keep everybody on edge if they want to come this year. A really fun thing to do to come out at the end of September. It is I think the 3rd or 4th weekend in September. It's September 28th this year. We do every year have what's called the Custer State Park. So there are 1,200 bison that live on the park grounds in Custer State Park throughout the year. Custer State Park is the 2nd largest state park in the whole United States.
Wow.
And these 1,200 bison live in the park throughout the year. But every September, they have to round up these bison for herd management purposes. So they are vaccinating them, checking for pregnancies. They're branding the new calves, which usually there's around 300 new calves every year. So they do a grand event where literally you can watch park rangers and horsemen riding and rounding up the buffalo from the prairie. So you hear the thundering of 1,200 buffalo running across the prairie and seeing the calves and the moms and it's just this really authentic
pretty unique.
Western
I don't think
event.
there are not many places that can offer that kind of experience.
No, that's right. And it's really grown in popularity. So I really encourage listeners to come, maybe check out that event. So surrounding that as well, of course, that doesn't take all day. But surrounding that event as well, you can then go to the corrals and visit with the park staff about why are they doing this and watching them brand. It's a great education experience. Then they'll do a chuck wagon lunch, and there's an arts festival in the park as well. So you can see area artisans displaying their work. They'll have a chili cook-off that afternoon as well. Yeah. And a really fun additional event is that same weekend, Crazy Horse Memorial has a Volksmarch. So you can literally walk from the base the visitor center at Crazy Horse up to the top of Crazy Horse's arm. And that's not an experience that you get to do all the time. They only have 2 of those a year. So you come in, you donate 3 cans of food, and then you're able to do the march up to the top. It'll take you less than a half a day to get that march done. But that experience up at the top of Crazy Horse, seeing this emotional Native American face and his face carved into stone, is something that really touches a person and stays with you for a long time. So that happens at the same weekend that the Buffalo Roundup does. So that's a really good time to maybe consider, if you haven't booked a fall vacation or you're needing to get out there, come out and check us out for that event.
Yeah, there's a lot
and
of
one thing I should note
great options there.
Is that, yeah, while South Dakota was recently named, one of the happiest states, we also don't do very well at taking our vacation days. We saw a report recently that South Dakotans are some of the worst at using our vacation days. And of course, our department. Yeah, that's right. So we really are trying to be proponents of encouraging people to take those vacation days. Get out there, use your time, you deserve it. And so really take your vacation. It's good for you.
Yeah, that's good advice. I'm sure you'll win lots of fans and new friends with that. But it's true. And lastly, obviously being in the Midwest, winters are cold. So I'm sure that, and that's a big part of life for many Americans and Canadians. And
yeah.
I wonder if there's a particular way that South Dakotans sort of tackle their winters to get through them and keep their chins up and be happy and be active.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we really just embrace it. I love winter. Not everyone in South Dakota loves winter, as I'm sure everyone in the Midwest and Canada feels the same. But, I think we really embrace it. There are some really fun events that happen in the winter time. Like we have these crazy outhouse races where people deck out outhouses and they are racing them across the snow and the ice. We do have a couple. Yeah. There's a couple ski resorts in South Dakota. Now, we don't claim to be a Colorado when it comes to skiing. But we have some really great ski resorts and snowmobile trails.
Skiing must be outstanding.
Yeah, that's right. Cross-country skiing or snowshoeing, ice fishing. Really, I think we just embrace it. Yeah. Yeah, so we embrace it. And I should share with you, if your listeners can see, another fun thing to do in South Dakota. This is our state bird. He's not real. He's my stuffed pheasant.
Which is?
This is the Chinese ringneck pheasant.
Okay.
So I wanted to share my little friend with everyone too. But so if anyone's interested in hunting, South Dakota is home to some of the best pheasant hunting in the nation. So I just brought my little friend here to showcase our state bird. Now fun fact, South Dakota state bird, we hunt it and we eat it. It's super tasty in like a pheasant jalapeno popper. So just brought him along as well.
Great local recipe. And well, thanks very much for talking to us today. And it sounds like you've been working really hard and doing a fantastic job, obviously. And I imagine you're going to be taking leave as well sometime this summer, pretty soon? Or?
That's right. I'm planning on taking a day off tomorrow because I saw the report and I know we need to do it. But yeah, so please come and check us out. Our website is travelsouthdakota.com. It's a really beautiful website with lots of great imagery. So check it out. We're happy to help you plan your vacation. Go get inspired on that site, and we'd love to show the happiest states in the nation to you all.
Well, you've done a fantastic job, and make sure you take some more leave maybe later in the summer. Thanks for chatting to us, Katlyn, and all the best.
Thanks. Goodbye.